That's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. When we look at the Tucson sector, this is a sector that has led the nation in apprehensions for the seemingly planned age.
Now of the border crisis. You can see right here some of this video from earlier today as we saw GOP lawmakers, including House Speaker Mike Johnson, as they paid a visit to Eagle Pass today. And right now we are being joined by Republican Arizona Representative Juan Ciscoamni. He was one of the lawmakers at the Secure Our Border event today. I believe that we have him on the phone right now. Representative Ciscoamni, do you have us?
Yes, I do. Thanks so much for having me on.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks so much for joining us here. Well, we're showing viewers right now some of this video of you as well as other GOP lawmakers making this visit today, as well as some of what you saw there at the border. Walk us through what this visit has been like and what stood out to you.
Well, that's right. We have about 64 members, GOP members from all across the country here from 26 different states. As you noted, I represent Arizona's 6th congressional district. It's at the border district. And as the chief here said, he said, when you know one border patrol sector, you know one border patrol sector. You need to really get out and see the rest. I couldn't assume that I knew everything about the border just by understanding Arizona's border pretty well, which I do. It was important to come here to Texas and see it for myself as well, what's happening here and how it's impacting the entire southern border. At the same time, we've got members from states that are not border states that are seeing this for the first time, a real look at what's happening, and they can see that it's beyond a talking point. This is reality, and we all got to hear from ranchers, local law enforcement, and border patrol agents as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned you've visited the Arizona border. You've seen so much there to now make it to Eagle Pass. What were some of the key things that stood out in comparison to what you've seen already in Arizona?
Yeah, well, I grew up in the border region in Arizona. I immigrated from Mexico when I was a young boy and became a U.S. citizen in 2006. So I know the immigration process by firsthand experience. Just 16 years later, after becoming a U.S. citizen, I was elected to the United States Congress. I believe this is the country of opportunity and the American dream. However, what we're seeing now, the disregard for the law and the control that the cartels have over everything that crosses the border in terms of the illegal traffic is scary in a lot of ways and something that we need to deal with. So we saw here what I've been seeing in Arizona, which is an influx of migration controlled by the cartels, single-age males from their 20s and 30s that are coming in, family units as well, but it's from really everywhere in every aspect and every geographic group. And we saw a decline in the last couple of, maybe a week or 10 days since we were announced to come here. It was seemingly planned that way to have this area a little more controlled. However, we didn't see the numbers that we saw 2 weeks ago, which were record-breaking numbers.
Yeah, some astonishing numbers that we're getting in week after week, and of course all of these images as well. And Representative Ciscoamni, we hear consistently how overwhelmed Customs and Border Patrol agents are. What can you say about what they're dealing with regularly just in this visit today?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. When we look at the Tucson sector, this is a sector that has led the nation in apprehensions for the latter part of the year. And what we're seeing there from our agents is they don't feel supported. They don't feel backed up by the government that hired them to do the job they were hired to do. They're being asked to be more processing centers more than law enforcement. And that's a problem. That's not what they were trained for. That's not what they signed up to do. The morale is low. We see massive retirements, institutional knowledge leaving, and the morale being low. And some of the most critical times that we've needed their help, they're being asked way more than what they could humanly provide. And they're people, at the end of the day, they have a human element. They're heartbroken by seeing the people coming through and the suffering and the unaccompanied minors. They're seeing all this firsthand, and we need to make sure that we provide them all the tools that they need. And at the end of the day, when you ask them, what is it the thing that you need the most, even beyond resources, it's just the ability to enforce the laws that are in place, that we could change the situation in a day if the president decided to enforce those laws.
Yeah, and of course, we've been following all of the live images, the live tweets that have been put out on X on social media earlier today. And one person that I know you've been following it as well as us and our viewers has been Fox's Bill Malugin, who has constantly been reporting on the border crisis. And he put out a statement today on X talking about a group of illegal immigrants that were trying to pass illegally into Eagle Pass right in front of you and other lawmakers who were there today as they were screaming out, yelling for help. And they were blocked by that Texas razor wire, which has been such a focus of conversation. So what did you notice in that particular instance? Or if you'd like to also touch on the razor wire as well, since that's been such a key topic.
Well, we were there when the group of migrants were crossing the river, which was about maybe knee deep or so. And they were yelling ayuda, which in Spanish is help. And they were yelling Venezuela, meaning that that's where they were from. I lost sight of where exactly they ended up crossing. There was no barbed wire on the actual water or on a boogie or anything. The barbed wire was around the edge of the river, and that's where it was all around. So I lost sight of where they were encountered, but that happened as we were sitting there, being briefed.
We also saw another statement put up on X with Representative Tony Gonzalez. He said something about showing up and how much it matters to see you guys actually pay a visit there, to show your presence. Talk a little bit about that. How significant is it to be there, to show up and to see what you're seeing and then talk about it with the American people afterwards?
Showing up is half the battle in a lot of cases. And when you've seen this firsthand, you can't unsee it. And now we have 65 GOP members of Congress that are better informed and better equipped to go back next week and continue to prioritize this issue in every way possible. Tony has been a great host of the delegation here. He's been a lead on this issue as well, someone that helped me get here and also has been a good friend in this process. And we're battling on this together. We both represent border districts. We're both from the region and each our particular region. And we grew up with majority Hispanic community. So we understand this issue in a very unique way. And the Speaker has recognized that, and he's given us both a seat at the table to lead on this issue. And I'm very grateful for that.
And of course, national security continues to be top of mind for so many people as the border crisis intensifies. What needs to happen from here? And do you have any other plans to make any other visits in the near future?
I plan to host my own couple of delegations in Arizona, bipartisan as well. This is something that I know that our members on the other side of the aisle that also care about this issue and they want to prioritize it. And in a divided government like this, we need to be able to work across the aisle to find solutions to this problem that is impacting everyone. I have border mayors that are Democrats that are equally concerned with what's happening than Republican mayors. So this is not in terms of my local district, I think Washington is completely divided, and there's a lot of Democrat versus Republican rhetoric on this and politics being played, which is typical Washington, but not in my district, not in Cochise County, not in Pinal, Graham County, Pima County, Greenlee County that I represent, those five. We have Democrats and Republicans alike crying for help on this issue and being frustrated. I held a roundtable as soon as I got back in December. That was my first order of business, and law enforcement, ranchers, local leaders, chambers of commerce, business owners, and all feeling the same way. So this needs to be a priority. In terms of a solution, I have to tell you, it's not complicated. It's enforcing the Remain in Mexico policy that worked 3 years ago and being able to detain people at the border, determine in a very expedited way if they have a legitimate asylum claim. And if they do not, and we can determine that within days, they need to be sent back. If we do not start sending people back at the border, they're going to continue to come because there's no disincentive and no consequence of breaking the law.
And Representative Ciscoamni, we can't say thank you enough for joining us here today. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share?
I just want to thank you for the attention on this. It's important that everybody knows that we have to be united on this issue and we have to be strong on it. We're going to continue to push, and just reminding everyone that the White House has the authority and the power to fix this today if they wanted to. So we're going to continue to do all that we can and leverage every resource and power that we have in Congress to force them to do that.
All right, Republican Arizona Representative Juan Ciscoamni joining us here. Thank you so much, Representative. We'll talk to you soon and stay safe.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much.